would you do if you simply trusted yourself? Hello, I'm back. I'm c.René Washington, life coach and the host of the Midlife Remix for Black women over 50 with ish to say and dreams to live. And I can tell you that on the other side of this episode, your life will be better. So stop right now and hit subscribe, get notified, and share, share, share. Today we're talking about trusting yourself. I've been coming in, doing episodes, little mini series on my book, Take the Trip, 4 journeys every midlife woman needs to live in purpose and freedom. It's available on all book-selling platforms. And the 4 journeys are surrender, trusting yourself, loving yourself, and passion. So the last episode was about surrender. Today, we're talking about trusting yourself. And I am so excited because I have 2 great stories to share about trusting yourself. One is my story about letting go of an ish load of pain, and as a bonus, dropping 5 pounds, and another woman's story, Carolyn Doling. So before I jump into that, I love quotes, and I want to share the quote that I used in this chapter of the book. It's from the late, great Audre Lorde. If I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. One more time. If I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. Whew, did you feel that? Because I feel that every time I read it. So let me tell you about Carolyn Doling. And if you watched the Tamron Hall show, you may have seen her episode a few days ago. Carolyn Doling was a normal, typical Black woman, had a long career in banking, and after she retired, she's been living her life. One day, she walks into a store and is asked by the people working there, hey, would you be willing to model for us? It's a clothing store. Would you be willing to model for us? As, and I don't know, I can't remember how they characterized it, as elder model, because she's an older woman, so they wanted her to model their clothes. She said yes. And why this connects to trusting yourself for me is because at 72, Carolyn Doling has become a fashion model. And she had no aspirations or dreams to ever be flowing in that lane. Yet here she is now walking the runway, y'all. And I'm going to drop the clip in the notes so you can see her. Because what you will also see is how different she looks now from what she looked like during her career. They almost look like 2 different people. Even Tamron Hall commented on, you actually look younger now than you did before, which Carolyn, attributes to now she's happy. Now she is being living in the fullness of herself. She's not having to pretend. You know how we do in those corporate streets. You know, she's not having to pretend to be somebody she's not. She is really walking and flowing in, and I know this is an overused term, but it's true, her authentic self. And so if that, I really want you to hear that, because it was especially telling for me, because I'm talking about, yes, this is our time to live our dreams. She didn't even have this dream, but she trusted herself to take advantage of a fantabulous opportunity. She didn't talk herself out of it by saying, oh, really, me? No, that's not for me. She felt the nudge to say yes, and she followed that nudge. She was in Fashion Week in New York City. I just love it so much. And so my story is not quite as fabulous, but just as highly impactful. Because as I've mentioned in an early episode, I've been dealing with chronic pain for several years, which has been a big motivation for me to even do this YouTube show because I want Black women to get healthy and to get free. And to enjoy your freedom, you need to be as healthy as possible. And I was someone who was doing a lot of things, living my life, yes, and also doing it while suffering through a lot of chronic pain and had just accepted that, well, this must just be my lot in life. I had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and just thought it was something I would have to deal with until toward the end of last year when the pain became so bad. It was keeping me up at night, bringing me to tears. I had a new thought. Maybe this isn't my lot in life. Maybe there's something I can do about this. Why am I just accepting that it's okay for me to be in pain all the time? I went and found a new internist who did more tests and diagnosed me with spinal stenosis. Not necessarily a better diagnosis than fibromyalgia, but what I do like about that diagnosis is that it just felt to me like, okay, now there's maybe something I can do. So she scheduled me to meet with specialists. This was at the end of November. And because of, everything that's going on, those appointments don't even start until March with the specialist. She also scheduled me to do physical therapy, which was still going to be another 30 days away. In the meantime, a friend of mine that I told about what was going on shared that she knew a holistic physical therapist who, as I shared earlier, that I started going to, has done amazing work with me. And because of COVID, I chose not to go to the traditional therapy. This holistic therapist was someone that it was just me and her in the room. But when Omicron got so bad, I even stopped going to see her. By that time, she had given me enough exercises that I could do them on my own. And so I trusted that I would could commit to this and do it and that it would have an impact. So from December to now, I can tell you that my pain level has gone probably from a level 12 to about a level 3 or 4. Just an amazing turnaround, truly. What also happened in those months is that I started paying attention to other things and making some other changes because I, have read a lot about sugar and how it can impact, your joints and muscles. And I love me a good dessert, y'all. Love me a good dessert. So for a long time, I just didn't want to hear anything about what they were saying about sugar, just demonizing sugar. One of my girlfriends tells a story about when we were all out for dinner and that subject came up about sugar and all the news about it and how bad it is for you. And I just was adamant, like, miss me with all of that. I don't want to hear it. But now, fast forward, I'm to now, I have got to do all the things to keep myself healthy because I really thought that I was about to become debilitated, like not able to be mobile and move. And that just could not be if there was anything possible that I could do to impact that not happening. So, yes, some things happen in our lives that we can't do anything about. This, though, was not one of those yet. So, I did a fast in January, and the fast that I did was around, yes, not it wasn't just a diet fast. I'm not a dieter, and I'll talk more about that in future episodes. I'm not a dieter, but I do believe in taking care of yourself, paying attention to yourself, and doing what works for you. So I gave up processed sugar. The only sweetener I would use would be honey. And I also gave up political news, because one of the other things that I found out about spinal stenosis is that there's a stress component to that. So I gave up political news because I'm a news junkie and it was stressing me out. So I gave up political news. I gave up staying up late at night. So I had a commitment to go to bed by 11 p.m. and just some other things that would affect, impact my being from a holistic perspective. I also did things that I was willing to give up for life. That's the thing about, we do these temporary interventions and then we go back to business as usual. Like, what's the point? So my intention during that fasting time was to give up things that I would become a new way of living. The other thing that I did was I had and this the first time I heard about this, it wasn't I've been reading about intermittent fasting. The first time I heard about it though, it wasn't about intermittent fasting per se, but I was in a cab in New York City about probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And I don't even know how we got on this conversation, but the cab driver, he was an older trim man, and something made me say, how do you keep yourself in such good shape? And he said, stop eating at 7 p.m. Don't eat anything after 7 p.m. And I said, really? He said, yes. He said, I tell you, don't eat anything after 7 p.m. And I never forgot that, but I didn't really, I didn't implement it. Towards the end of the last year, I saw a woman talking about intermittent fasting. So I started researching that and looking into it. And anything I do has to be reasonable. I'm not an extreme person. So what I landed on was doing timed eating between the hours of 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. And oh my gosh, I'm telling you, it has changed so much. It's made me more self-aware. And I'm sure a lot of you know. Tell me how many, just drop that in the comment. Say yay or nay or yes or no. If you don't know that a lot of the eating you do is just eating out of habit, you're not even hungry. Drop that in the comment. And being committed to those hours of only eating between 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., which ended up being a 14-hour fast, and learning about what that does for your body. And basically what it does is our insulin levels go down so far that it impacts during that fasting period, and it allows us to burn off fat. And it has other benefits like your digestion, so several benefits. But the big thing for me was it did make me realize how much eating I was just doing because it food is there. Why not? Why not? I'm up. And so now I ask myself, am I hungry? And most of the time the answer is no. And when the answer is yes, I eat if it's between those hours. If it's after 7 p.m., what I've realized is for me, if I've gotten hungry after 7 p.m., most likely it's because I'm staying up too late and I just need to go to bed. So, doing all those things, I had a follow-up appointment at the internist. And as I said, my pain level, I already knew my pain level had just dropped tremendously. And they weigh you at the doctor's office, right? Which I typically hate because I don't weigh myself anymore. But I am glad to report that that's how I found out that I had dropped 5 pounds. And because of the pain that I've had in my body, in addition to tendonitis in my ankle, which has meant that I haven't, yeah, y'all, I just felt like my whole body was breaking down. And this tendonitis in my ankle, I haven't been able to do my favorite form of exercise, which is walking and hiking. So I was probably averaging like 700 to 800 steps a day. And now I'm up to 1,000 to 4,000 steps a day walking around the house. Walking around the house. I'm not back out in these streets yet because of the tendonitis in my ankle. But I am, it's improved enough that I'm walking around the house. So the weight loss was not from so much moving, it was more from, I believe, the stress exercise, the stress, reducing stress, the getting rid of most of the processed sugar, getting better rest. Those are the things that I really believe have changed my pain level and dropped some actual pounds. So when you drop the weight of stress, it can translate into actually dropping pounds. So wanted to share all that with you about trusting yourself and to leave you with 3 things that you can do to start yourself on this journey. 1, do your who am I work. And my favorite question that I ask clients is, who are you without role or title? Who are you without role or title? I'd love for you to share that in the comments. And you can say, I don't know, because that's what a lot of my clients will say. I don't know, because we are moms, partners, spouses, employees, community volunteers. We have all these roles and titles that are so ingrained that we've lost connection to who we are at the core. So do that work. And at the end of every chapter in this book, there's a little worksheet. There's a little journaling sheet that you can do this work in. So I highly encourage you to do that. And if you're willing to share, drop it in the comments right now. Again, if you can answer that question or not. Number 2 is let shit go. I'm going to be a broken record on that. That's my mantra. Let it go. Let it go. Really ask yourself, what am I carrying that is no longer mine to carry, never was mine to carry, is somebody else's crap to carry? What are you carrying that you simply need to let go? And then the third thing is keep an evidence journal for 30 days of your intuitive hits, those gut feelings or those intuitive feelings that you get. Keep a record of them, whether you follow them or not, because there's this thing I say, if I had followed my first right mind, because there are a lot of times we know something's going to happen or we know something's going to turn out a certain way, but we don't trust it. We don't trust it. And what I'm going to drop in the comments for you is my favorite method for learning how to trust yourself is called body compass. Body compass, the body compass process. And I'm going to drop a recording of that in the show notes so that you can learn how to hear that inner wisdom that is speaking to you all the time. Your body is messaging you all the time. We just need to pay attention to it. As I said before, we live in our heads and we need to learn to pay attention to the messaging that our bodies are giving us, because the body doesn't lie. My body was telling me, girl, you need to do some things. And so I have, and I am experiencing the benefits of having done that. And I want the same for you. So again, if any of this has resonated for you, please subscribe, get those notifications, because I will be coming back next episode with loving yourself. Loving yourself. So if you want to get the book, as I said, you can get the book at all major retailers, or you can go to c.Renecoach.com and use that link, because if you use that link, you will support a Black woman-owned bookstore, Harriet's Bookshop in Philly. So you can, but do get it. It's just, when you can see it's not that long of a read, but it's a very deep read. You will get some juice out of this book that will enhance your life. So subscribe, get notifications, share, and I and let me know what you think about what you heard today in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And I'll be back next episode for the midlife remix for Black women over 50 with Ish to Say and Dreams to Live. This is our time.